As the price of oil goes up and up, we'll go to Ghana, where the discovery of black gold is helping to get one city back on track. Banking on an oil boom. One city in Ghana is riding a reversal of fortunes, but spreading the wealth fairly, well, that's one of the greatest struggles. Slipping into civil war again. After months of political crisis, the standoff and bloodshed continue to rise in Ivory Coast. Ghana, like most football-loving countries around the world, is in the grip of World Cup fever. On top of that, oil has recently been discovered in abundance there. But in a continent where wealth is often misused, this impending oil boom is being met with some caution. Bikisu Labaran is part of the BBC's Africa Kicks team, travelling across the west of the continent ahead of the World Cup kickoff. And she sent this report from the coastal town of Takoradi.
It's the rainy season, not the football season in Ghana. But the day-long downpour doesn't stop the players of Ajax FC from trying to perfect the tricks of their trade. Second division sides like this are the backbone of football in the country. These players are not superstars. What they are is dedicated, disciplined and dreaming of making it big, like their national heroes.
I think Ghana will do well in the World Cup because they've tasted it before. And now they have a lot of players playing in the foreign league.
Look around Takoradi, and it's easy to see there's a lot more than just expectations of World Cup success building.
This is Ghana's oldest cargo port. It's from here that gold, timber, bauxite and cocoa are exported, bringing in much-needed revenue. But a recent discovery out there in the Gulf of Guinea is soon to be added to the list of Ghana's natural resources. Some say it could transform this town and Ghana for at least a generation.
Beneath the sea that provides these fishermen their living lies the oil that could usher in a wave of new prosperity. Critics say the discovery will do irreparable damage to their livelihood. But as the fishermen observe their traditional day of rest and ponder their future, some are more optimistic.
This oil for here, Western is being developed the whole Ghana.
But not everyone's convinced. There are fears that hard-pressed market stallholders will not benefit from the oil, one of the most marketable of commodities, but see it siphoned off to the coffers of overseas oil companies and the pockets of a select few.
Houses are being built now, but it's not for ordinary people. It's for, they are waiting for oil companies to come and pay in dollars. Then we have youths that must be trained. That's something we haven't done. We have to train them for them to be able to be part of the industry from the beginning. If we don't do that, we end up like Niger Delta of Nigeria.
Whether Ghana achieves its goal of making the most of its newly acquired natural resource remains to be seen. But for the next few weeks, these footballers and much of the country will set aside dreams of future wealth and oil fields as attention turns to the field of play, Ghana's footballers, and dreams of World Cup glory in South Africa. Bilkisu Labaran, BBC News, Takoradi.
Oil. We can't seem to stop talking or agonizing about it. Well, just months ago, Ghana turned on its taps after a major find off the country's coast. The nation now expects its economic growth rate to double, with all the promise and the peril of crude. At the centre of the new industry is the once sleepy port of Takoradi. The BBC's Rob Walker travelled there to see how oil fever is now starting to transform this Ghanaian city.
These men fish in the same way their fathers and their grandfathers did. But over the horizon, out in the ocean, something they can't see is bringing change. We know there's a lot of oil out there, says Kofi Dadran, but no one's told us how much there is. We don't know yet what it's going to mean for us. But here, in the closest port, Takoradi, people are already calling this the oil city. It's the hub for a brand new industry. And some local businesses are starting to thrive, servicing the rigs, providing equipment to the oil companies. And this could just be the start for Takoradi.
I think it's a God-giving opportunity to come out of poverty and unemployment. Those guys out on the oil rigs are going to eat, they are going to drink water, they are going to be transported, they're going to sleep in hotels when they come here. So enormous opportunity.
And that's something Takoradi badly needs. These trains, once the pride of the nation, haven't moved in years. The sleeping cars now home to squatters. And after the trains stop coming, many businesses here ground to a halt too. Now the city is growing again. Oil fever is attracting a surge of new migrants. And the oil boom has given birth to a building boom. This gives you an idea of how fast Takoradi's been changing since the oil came. If you look behind me, you can see it's just bush. But come around here, and you can see the city is steadily expanding inland. And there's a real competition now to buy land, build on it, and then rent it out.
And 3 days later...
But as land values spiral, some people are being left behind. Efwa is a primary school teacher. She was told her rent was going to double. When she couldn't pay, she came home to find an eviction notice posted on her door.
It means you are cheating me. It means you are kicking me out for somebody to come and stay in the room.
And why are you being evicted, do you think? Is it because you're behind in the rent?
No. He's giving it to the oil people. Because he knows definitely that as a poor teacher, I can't get money.
And it's not just rents that are going up because of oil. The price of goods is rising too. All that makes life harder for the poorest in Takoradi. That's why local leaders here in Western Ghana want to have first claim on the $1 billion the government is expecting every year from the oil.
We have gold, we have diamond, we have timber. Everything is coming from the Western region. But I tell you, go and see our roads. Not good at all. So that is why we, the opinion leaders, or we the chiefs, or we who owns the land are saying that now there is oil. So the money, more of it should be used to develop the region.
And these are the challenges for Takoradi and for Ghana. How to make sure the oil revenue is spread fairly, and how to meet the spiralling expectations of the people living closest to the oil. Rob Walker, BBC News in Western Ghana.
And for much more on the people of Takoradi, do make sure to visit the BBC website. You'll find profiles of residents ranging from a student to a disc jockey. And you can read how the oil boom is changing the city that they call home. It's all there at bbc.com/news. Welcome back to BBC World News America. From one civil war in North Africa to another one emerging further south. Ivory Coast too is slipping into civil war. That is the warning from the United Nations on the eve of African Union talks to broker a deal to settle last year's disputed presidential elections once and for all. Laurent Gbagbo, who's held power for 10 years, is refusing to hand over the post to his rival Alassane Ouattara. The United Nations says at least 365 killed during the standoff which has ensued. From the country's main city, Abidjan, our correspondent Andrew Harding sent us this special report which does contain some disturbing images.
It's become more like a nightmare than a city. This is Abidjan, carved up by rival militias, a gauntlet of terrifying roadblocks. And this is what can happen if your luck runs out here. Beneath the burning tyres, 2 men. Their slow deaths filmed and circulated by a local website. Multiple sources have told us this is genuine and recent. Occasionally, public outrage overcomes fear. These women support Alassane Ouattara, the man the world says won November's presidential election here.
Across Abidjan, groups of women gathering in crowds like this, calling for peace at a time when Ivory Coast does seem to be slipping closer and closer towards a resumption of civil war.
We're unarmed, she says. Our only demand is democracy here, even if it means our blood must be spilled. She's referring to this, a similar demonstration last week, which ended badly. Forces loyal to Laurent Gbagbo, the man who lost the presidency, opened fire into the crowd. 7 women were killed. To reach the country's internationally recognized government, you have to fly across the front lines of a once prosperous city and into a besieged hotel. Ministers trapped here are protected by the UN and backed by the West, but they know former President Gbagbo will not step down without a fight.
We're afraid of a dictator losing the power, getting crazy, ready to burn out everything before he leaves. That's our main fear.
It's starting already. In the city centre, we're caught suddenly in another firefight. It's a skirmish, but the momentum is building fast here towards a violent endgame. Andrew Harding, BBC News, Abidjan.
And that's all we have time for. I'm Matt Fry. From all of us here at BBC World News America, thank you so much for watching. And we leave you tonight with the final landing of the Space Shuttle Discovery, which after 39 missions officially entered retirement today after completing its last voyage. Watch.
Discovery's gear is down and locked. Main gear touchdown. The nose of the shuttle being rotated down toward the flight deck. The parachute being deployed, and nose gear touchdown, and the end of a historic journey. And to the ship that has led the way time and time again, we say farewell, Discovery.
Hi, I'm Ross Atkins from Weekend World. It's a show which keeps you right up to date with the best things coming up on BBC World News, and it offers you a chance to tell us how well we're doing with the programmes that we make. You can leave us your comments at bbcglobalminds.com. Weekend World, join the club.